Welcome to Showing Up Solo, your go-to source for solopreneur success in the digital world. You're not just running a business, you're wearing all the hats, from CEO to content creator. What if I told you there's a way to master online marketing without sacrificing all your time? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Showing Up Solo. Today, we're sharing another solopreneur story. I am joined by the wonderful, amazing Master Certified Professional Creativity and Life Story Coach, Mandy Brooks, who is also an award-winning musician. And I'm going to let her share her amazing and colorful backstory with you, but she's here to share her journey to becoming a coach and her struggles and triumphs when it came to marketing herself and her business. So Mandy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Hannah. It's a joy to be here.
So quite a mix. You're first of all, what is a life story coach? and how did you go from being a musician to a life story coach?
Yeah, I think kind of my philosophy around that is that these gifts, these ways that I want to reach and touch people are at a certain core inside of me, and they somehow like manifest in these different ways. So sometimes it's through music, and sometimes it's through hearing people's stories or speaking. And so life stories just kind of came alive to me in a really unique way. I think they have a life of their own. And so just journeying with people to kind of uncover their life stories and see how they integrate into their current life and how they support us and are part of us has been just an interesting topic and mode to explore.
So why would I, like, for example, let's say why would I seek you out? What would I be coming? What would typically someone like me be coming to you for?
Yeah, I think primarily as a creative, but even someone who I mean, because essentially we all are creative. We create in unique ways, but typically I usually have artists, musicians, speakers, and they're wanting to share what they have. And for some reason, maybe they're experiencing blocks or they don't know the next step to take. They're having a lot of self-doubt. Life story is kind of a thread that weaves through everything. It's a lot of times at the core of who they are. And, we hear a lot of those sayings, your passion is your purpose and those kind of things. And it really is true when we kind of find that one core story inside of ourselves and let it come out through these different facets, we can more deeply connect with our audience and make the change that we want to make.
Yeah. It's interesting that you see that. That really connects with me because although I'm known here as a marketing coach and like all things online marketing and service-based businesses, I do have a very creative background. I was that child who was never without a sketchbook growing up. I had fully intended to be an artist or an art teacher growing up. Life got in the way. But I'm from a family of artists, a brother who's an illustrator, who's also married to an illustrator, a sister who's a fine artist, another brother who's just like can sit down with any instrument and suddenly know how to play it. Like he's just amazing that way. I know I have a daughter who won't be parted from her sketchbook, so I can see that. And it does. I understand that kind of that pull to share what's inside you. And I've even seen it with my mother, who's a great writer. She's always said, I'm not creative that way, or I'm not, but she is incredibly. It's just, we have these stories telling us that you have to be award-winning to be good. You can't just produce something. It has to be internationally recognized and museum worthy or Hall of Fame worthy to be good. Do you encounter that a lot in your with your clients?
Oh yeah, and I definitely encountered that in myself, the same. And I think it is a common struggle. There's so many ways that we are conditioned to believe that we can't be creative, we can't make money off of our creativity, or we have to only make money at being an artist to qualify being an artist. And so for me, I had this tendency then to lock it away because like you said, I didn't think, well, I'm not ever going to be number one on the chart. I don't look a certain way. I can't sound a certain way. I
I'm
can't.
not going to be the next Taylor Swift. Why bother?
Exactly. And, there was this pivotal turning point in my life where my son, I grew up with a mother who was in the music business. She sang professionally. So I was accustomed to the stage and being around a lot of creativity. But I had tucked it away, as I had mentioned. And one day my son came up to me and he had found a cassette tape. And I don't even know how he had a machine to play it on. But he said, Mom,
I can't remember the last time I saw a cassette player.
I know, I don't know. He said, Mom, you sound good. Why don't you sing anymore? And it was like at that moment, it presented this question, here's my son. We want to set an example to our kids and we want to look good in front of them and we want to look like we have everything together. And everything was dismantled in that moment, but in a good way. And he said, if you could do anything, what would you do? And I had to make a decision at that point. Am I going to keep stuffing down this dream, my creativity, out of fear and all these other reasons? Or am I going to, accept the baton? So I just said I would make a CD. And so that's what I did. And from that moment forward, it kind of just, I didn't ever want to go back, to caging my creativity. I just wanted to keep exploring it.
So I'm guessing that's the inspiration of the name of your business then.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's
Yes.
Uncaged Creative is your business's name.
Yes. Well, I'm still kind of working with all the different facets of it. But I think for the coaching, it's Uncaged Creative Coaching.
Love it. I love it. And I love that idea of uncaging it because it's true. It's you feel like I don't know if it's for everyone. I do think, especially for people who've been socialized as women, there's this pressure to there's so much demand on your time and your mental load anyway, that if you're going to do something, it has to be like productive, and art isn't, and creativity and music, it's not always seen as productive, like, or at least you should channel it into something productive. Like if you, like me, like I channel my creativity into copywriting and into marketing and graphic design. Like I channel it into there, and it is a good outlet, but it isn't enough because I'm not expressing like deep emotional truths about myself. I'm getting some creativity out there and it helps, but it's not everything. So
yes, I think, it's similar to, I think, the different ways our brains work. We can be on spectrums of this or that, and we are each created so uniquely that, and I have to learn these words, what they officially are, but I'm pretty sure it's the German language where there's 3 words for musician. There's one word that means the technically proficient musician. There's another word that they are so like emote, they can really make you feel something. And then the third word in the language, in that language for a musician, is the perfect combination and balance of both.
oh wow.
Yeah. So as people, right, my dad has a PhD in statistics. My mom is an artist and a singer. So I have this unique blend of their chromosomes and genes and DNA, and my body that's going to be completely different So I do not think there is a one size fit all. And I think that is part of the journey, is finding that balance of flow that works for you. Like you said, maybe you're not out there making $1 million with the bestseller book. Maybe you are. But even if you're making those Christmas gifts, or you're singing a song that you just learned for your family and you can barely play the chords, but this is somehow fulfilling you and blessing your family, then this is a win.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's wonderful. Hey there, fellow dreamers and future solopreneurs. Are you at the very beginning of your journey, eager to kickstart your business and find those first clients? I've got something special just for you. My free guide, Find Your First Clients. 3 actionable steps to jumpstart your business. Inside, I've distilled the wisdom of successful solopreneurs into 3 actionable steps tailored for newcomers like you. Expect straightforward, no-nonsense advice that you can put into action today. Ready to turn your business dreams into reality? Grab your free copy now at showingupsolo.com/free. Unlock the secrets to landing your very first clients and start your entrepreneurial journey on the right foot. I'm here to guide you every step of the way. So you have this musical background and rediscovered, thanks to your son. And did the coaching come before or after the rediscovery of the music in your life?
Well, as a fellow coach, I think, we've probably always been coaching.
Let's say, okay, in an official capacity then.
Yeah, in an official capacity.
Yeah, because I do think you're right. We're always coaches.
Yeah, I think that,
when did you decide to make it a business, I guess, is my question.
Yeah, well, the very practical side. The very practical side is I was playing music with my sons. We were doing really well. We were doing some touring. They were doing the music videos. We were doing the stuff, but they were also getting older. And I realized they're probably not always going to want to have a band with their mom. So it's kind of like this empty nest syndrome, looking ahead, thinking, then, okay, what am I going to do? Another pivotal point with my creativity, how am I going to look at this? And I told myself, you're going to look at this in a positive way. And how are you going to live the next season of your life? What do you really want to do? So it definitely started years back. I really wanted to be sensitive to what the concept was. I wanted it to be really true, exactly from my heart. I didn't want to waste time doing anything else. And so it was a slow build, and I think it's, just still a journey. And little by little, the people who started to come through and ask, hey, can you help me with this? And taking classes from you and working on my website step by step, it just keeps unfolding like a flower.
I love that. And actually that brings me on to it. That thing reminds me of a question I want to ask, because what you do is not something you just like look up in a directory, like old school Yellow Pages style, under L for life story coach, like that.
Yeah.
So how did you approach the challenge of marketing something that's so very unique and very niche? And also at the same time, because it's very broad whilst being very niche, like, because the kind of people can come from anywhere and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
There's not just one cookie cutter creative person who hangs out here and this is where you find them. It's not like, oh, I'm working with accountants, and so I know accountants are going to hang out here and this is where I reach them. So how did you approach the challenge of getting your name out there?
Yeah, that is definitely, I don't recommend, myself trying to do this kind of venture by yourself. I set out thinking I could do this by myself and quickly realized, first I would look this up on the internet and look this up on the internet. And I just realized that I need somebody to help me figure this out. And as much as I can look at somebody else's work and make steps in my own path, and then turn around and, hey, tell other people, hey, I'm going down this path, I can help you out. I needed somebody to do the same for me. And so bringing my work, for example, to this program that you just had, the 50-day sprint, having you look it over, you provide feedback, helped kind of give that mirror, help kind of give that place where uh, I could eliminate, I could, keep things because maybe they'll come back into use later, but I could kind of chisel away, like those famous sculptors, Michelangelo, they get this piece of marble slab, but
Yes.
there's something in the middle and they're not set out to make it into something. They're setting out to carve away the pieces to let it be something. And so this process of finding out who is my niche and how to speak to them has really come about in that process.
Yeah. And I think that's a great, I also think it helps personally, I know for myself, is to have like an outsider's perspective, because the
Yes.
forest for the trees, isn't it? When you're in there, you see all these things, it's buzzing, and it's often I find these ideas are in our head and they're both fuzzy and clear, but they're often very difficult to take out of your head and put it into something that others can understand. So it's always great to have someone who's an outsider to it, to give you some input, to give you some feedback. I know that's an element you've enjoyed about the 50-day sprint, was having that kind of group dynamic and having other
Yes.
people's perspectives, um, and just even seeing other people's approaches to the same
Yes.
challenges, but from different businesses. Um, yeah. So I guess what was probably your biggest struggle before, like, say, encountering my program?
I think what really locked me into wanting to work with you is that a lot of programs I felt they do have solid answers. And when it comes down to it, there's just basic fundamental steps. I mean, some of the stuff you can look it up on the internet and you can find these answers, and it's different people teaching sometimes the same things just in different ways. But what locked me into your program is, one, I feel that you do have a special gift that it just comes easily. I mean, I know you've worked hard for it and you've studied as well to add that together, but you have that sense, and so it just flows out of you. But you've also have this other side, the very practical side, that has laid everything out in these step by step process. So when you're foundations for success, this is what it is, and they're achievable bits that are not overwhelming. So that is what has given, that is actually propelling me forward, is having those step by step, you saying, yes, good, here's the feedback, here's the next step. That's the recipe for success right there.
Yeah, just getting those elements. I know that was the thing I found as well, because, and I like, I mean, I think I can safely say, you, like me, we didn't grow up with social media. I still remember the sound of dial-up.
Yeah.
My kids heard that sound the other day. I'm like, what is that sound? And I was like, that's what the internet used to sound like, children. but but yeah, like it's a new area and it can seem very intimidating, but really there's the foundations of any marketing strategy. It's the same, like it's consistent, like everything. Even like going through writing your website copy, going through writing your email copy, going through, it's the same steps, it's just in for different outputs, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's one of the, so you can see this is what you're talking about. I get really jazzed about it.
Ah,
But yeah, it's like there, as long as you understand like the core processes going on, anyone can do it. Like it's I always used to tell my mom, who said she wasn't good at drawing, I said anyone can learn to draw. Like creativity can come from within, but drawing is a skill, right? Anyone can learn to draw. Same thing with marketing, right? Like anyone
yeah.
can learn to do the steps. And then once you have when you know those steps, when you have the skill, then you can unleash your inner marketer, which is really just an
Yeah.
inner storyteller.
Yeah. This is why I love you, Hannah. Right there. That's it. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad. So, I mean, I guess well, one question I have to ask is like, what has been like your favorite or biggest takeaway from the program?
Wow, that's a difficult question because there really are so many things. I mean, I've come forward with stuff and what I thought was good, and it is good. And then without trying to change what I have or control or put it in a certain direction, you just offer these insights and recommendations that completely kind of just like help focus it and put it on track and made it something to be that clicked into place and I was really proud of, and like this is it. So it's just those nuggets that you throw out there in the program that have been helpful, and yeah, just and delivered in a down to earth way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love that. So, what is your advice for someone out there who's like you, who has this very unique offering, putting their name out there? What would be your advice for someone who's Mandy from 5-10 years ago? What would be your advice?
My advice is to, for sure, as you're seeking help to get your work out there, keep following your heart and make sure it's your voice, and that you're finding somebody who's going to work with you that's gonna honor your voice and not try to put their voice on top of it. And I have definitely found that in showing up solo and Foundations for Success that you offer. And my advice is to also just continue at a pace of beauty and grace, that when we're moving forward in the pace, we're pushing and we're hustling and we're doing these things, but not from this place of competition or desperation, but keeping that balance of the enjoyment in it and the love and nurturing what we have, that and finding a coach that will help us continue to nurture what we have, would be some of the advice that I would recommend.
I love that. I think what comes to mind for me is imperfect action is one of my favorite.
Ooh, I like
like
that.
keep moving imperfectly. Like it doesn't have to be you don't have to be the
Yes.
best. I think that's actually just a motto for everything. Like it's just move, take the action, make the move, have compassion for yourself, see it as a continual process. Another one that comes to mind was I think I got this from something called Lessons for Being a Human, but it was there's no such thing as a mistake, only a lesson you have yet to learn. So go for it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's okay. You just pivot, you learn, you evolve, you grow. And I think if we can approach everything, not just our marketing, but our whole businesses, our whole approach is just like a constant, step up the learning ladder, then and making sure we're enjoying the scenery as we go, then I think we all have a much happier life.
Yeah, yeah, because that's really, I mean, that's what we want. We want to enjoy life. We want to make a living. We want to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for joining, Mandy.
Thank you.
For those who are listening and who are now super intrigued by what you do and possibly thinking, I need a Mandy, where can they find you?
Yes, they can find me at mandybrooks.com and on Instagram at mandybrooks.uncaged. And yeah, shoot me a message, send me an email, and we'll talk about all the ways we can share your most important creative work with the world.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining, Mandy. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you found this episode inspiring and insightful. And definitely, if Mandy has sparked something in you, I encourage you to reach out, because she's got a wonderful perspective to offer to anyone. So thank you for joining. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Showing Up Solo. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review or sharing your thoughts in the comments. These simple gestures help us appease the algorithm gods and continue to bring you great, free education. Ready to navigate the world of marketing with confidence? Take the Marketing Compass quiz, available at showingupsolo.com, to discover the next phase of your journey. And don't forget to explore our range of courses and coaching programs while you're there. Let's transform your solo venture into a thriving success story together. Until the next episode, keep showing up and making your mark in the world of solopreneurship. See you soon.